everybody, and welcome back to Thanks, It's Vintage with your hosts, Andrew
and Lydia.
And we are back here at the Kenmore Square location of Vino Divino, right by Fenway Park.
Beautiful day.
Beautiful day. Nice July summer day. And
the end of July.
End of July. Yeah. This month has flown. This year is flying.
This year is terrifying. Yeah.
But I think we have a great topic for everybody today. I think we have something really fun that we get to talk about here.
We definitely do.
Something that a lot of people may be very interested in and wish to know more about and understand. And it's a category I think is not truly appreciated as much as it should be appreciated. And I think it's due to people's lack of knowledge around it and kind of maybe a little bit of fear about like what's in the glass, right? Or misconceptions, maybe, is probably a better way of putting it. And that is dessert wines.
Yes.
We are talking about sweet wines. And this is a category, of course, where it's like, we're not just talking about sweet wines. We're talking about like sweet.
Sweet.
There's a reason we call it dessert. Yes. Yeah. I mean, I'm a lover of dessert wines.
I really am. There is a threshold for me.
There is.
And I think because of the cyclical nature of people's tastes, we're in a bit of a phase of like people not wanting that much sweetness in their glass.
Right.
And this is as sweet as, well, not the pinnacle of sweetness, but it is.
No, there's one
syrupy.
bottle I'm thinking of that's truly syrupy.
Truly syrupy,
and
yeah.
truly the pinnacle. And we'll get to that.
Yes.
But yeah, no, I mean, I think that's, this is just a category. I think that's very, very much misunderstood here. But it's a category that, yeah, I think if everyone had a little bit more knowledge, a little bit more understanding of what it is, they would appreciate it more.
Okay.
But let's
dive in.
Dive in. So first and foremost, just so that we're not waiting too long for this, I think that it is great for us to not just talk about dessert wines, but to have a dessert wine. And this is a
This is not just any dessert wine.
Not just any dessert wine. This is Chateau Rieussec. This is a Sauternes, so it's from the appellation of Sauternes in Bordeaux. Chateau Rieussec is part of the Rothschild properties. The Lafite Rothschild properties, got to be specific because there's the Mouton Rothschilds. They are cousins. But the Lafite Rothschilds, the more famous of the two. And like any other property they own, everything is just outstanding. These are expert stewards of wineries and vineyards throughout France.
But we should point out that actually they weren't in control of it the whole time.
No,
they bought it at the end of the 80s, right?
Yes, they acquired this. But they have done incredible work with it ever since. And I think it'd be great to open this. This is also part of our cellar collection that we have currently, which is
we were thrilled to get.
Most of the way through now, actually, in terms of being sold. So if you haven't stopped into one of our stores, please do. Check out our fine and rare sections, and you will find the cellar wines in each of our stores, different options in different stores. Now, I made a mistake today. Everybody needs to know this. And I did not bring with me my Durant. That is that little prong tool that you use. People have probably seen it. It's got an osso, and then it's got a little very thin corkscrew as well. The osso is the two prongs that you see people use going into the sides of the cork. And you use that for older wines. So we are taking a big gamble.
This cork looks good.
It does.
Looks fine. Could be a little dry, but...
Could be, but I don't think we're going to have an issue with opening this.
I mean, we're not seeing any leakage. We're not seeing any stickiness.
I'm going to pull away from the mic, but if you, while I am trying to do this,
yes.
you want to talk to everybody about...
Okay, so dessert wine, we are distinguishing between dessert and fortified. Fortified by nature is... fortified, literally fortified alcohol. Dessert is not.
I broke the cork.
Oh, boo.
Don't worry. We're still working on this.
I think it'll be fine. So dessert wine is wine that is in some way concentrated, but without fortifying the wine. So in the case of Sauternes, we are talking about botrytis. Botrytis or Botrytis cinerea, as its full name, is a fungus that pierces the skin of the grapes. And it does need a very specific environment to do so. So in Sauternes sits between two rivers that connect, the Ciron and the Garonne, right? I'm not making that up. Garonne, sorry.
Yes.
And the Ciron waters are cooler than the Garonne waters, and when they hit, they create mist and humidity. And Botrytis cinerea really needs humidity in the morning and then clear sunny days in the afternoon for it to balance correctly. So obviously, if the humidity sticks around, this fungus will turn into rot, and we don't necessarily want it to be bad rot. We want it to be good rot, the rot that we can control. So it pierces the skins, the afternoons clear up, and we have the perfect environment for the grapes to slightly dehydrate on the vines. And because of that, you get a intensified and more syrupy wine as a result. So usually slightly higher alcohol and definitely higher aroma and flavor. And when I say higher, I just mean more intense and developed in a way that is really fascinating. Wow. So I don't know if you can see this. That color is absolutely stunning. So when this was made, it would have been a nice light golden color. But this is now heading to golden syrup tend color profile. It is gorgeous and amber and orangey, and it's well past golden at this stage. And I can smell it from here. It's stunning. So Sauternes has been making wine in this way for hundreds of years. The first written evidence, I think, was 1741. But it's been going on longer than that, most likely. We call botrytis the noble rot because it does what we want it to do. And if we leave it, it turns into actual rot, which we don't want. So Sauternes was part of the 1855 classification system. It was formed into 3 levels of quality. Premier cru classé, deuxième and troisième. Premier cru classé, sorry, that was a mouthful. This Rusek is part of the second tier. There is only one in the first tier, and it has been that way since 1855. They are so famous. Their bottles are expensive. I've had it twice in my life.
Oh.
Both were magnificent. One was young.
Really?
Like in 2024, I had a 2021, which was too young.
That's too young.
It was just too young. They are designed to age.
And that property is Chateau d'Yquem.
D'Yquem. So very famous, very respected. But there are 11 in the deuxième category, and Rusek is one of them. And honestly, all of those chateaus, domains, whatever, they're all producing excellent quality, really, really excellent quality, and have been since then. There are 15 in the third tier, but again, like, still great quality.
Yeah.
I've had Rusek multiple times as well, and honestly, some of them I preferred to. Judging the
To D'Yquem.
2021 D'Yquem was not fair, to be honest. The aged D'Yquem was
fair,
incredible, absolutely incredible. But the Rusek, I mean, I've never had this old a Sauternes before.
This is gorgeous. So the cool thing with any of these dessert wines, and if we're gonna let's stick with Sauternes for now, and we'll touch on other dessert wines, of course. But the cool thing with these wines is that they can age for quite a long time. I mean, these are wines that you could even have just decent aging conditions, in a cellar without any temperature control or any humidity control, right? And these wines will still go the distance pretty easily. And that's due to the high level of sugar content that is in the wine itself. The other thing to note is this is not your average, I've opened the bottle, now I must consume it within the next 5 days. No. You consume it within the next 30 days. These wines can last when they are re-stopped with a cork. Our cork, of course, broke because I brought the wrong tool, and I still got it out, although it's completely crumbled.
Okay, so actually, that's worth showing.
And but I will stop it with a different cork that we have in the back.
So the top half of the cork is perfect. A little dry, obviously dry. It wouldn't have broken if it wasn't dry. The bottom is entirely crystallized, which is really quite beautiful and a feature of dessert wine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lovely crystals, sugar crystals, and possibly tartrate crystals.
Yeah. But these wines are they're absolutely beautiful. The other thing to note is that when you serve a dessert wine, whether it's Sauternes, whether it's Royal Tokaji, whether it's ice vine, you name it, right? These are wines you do not serve in a normal wine glass. You do want to have a specific glass for these. Most of the time when we talk about glassware, yes, the proper glassware will heighten your experience with the wine. There is actual scientific evidence, thanks to us basically using machines that measure the alcohol vapors that come off of the wine and how they act in certain shapes of glasses with certain varietals in those glasses. We now know that this thing that we've been doing for quite a long time actually is real. We know it's real. So that being said, I still tell everyone, especially when it's just casual wines for everyday drinking, drink out of whatever vessel makes you happy. If you want to drink your wine out of a mug, drinking out of a mug. I'm not going to tell you, I'm not anything else. I'm never going to be all snobby about it. We should enjoy wine how we want to enjoy wine. But this is a category where I will absolutely tell everyone, no, you want a proper dessert wine glass. They tend to be smaller, like these glasses we have here, and you pour half of what you would pour of a regular wine, because you are going to, one, be sipping this. It's very sweet, and two, it still has the same alcohol content as a lot of the wines you're going to drink on a daily basis. That's the other thing to note here is we're not having, some dessert wines, yes, they are lower in alcohol, but a lot of dessert wines are the same alcohol levels. I mean, this one...
So this is 14%, which is a little higher than what it would be if it was just a white made from the same grapes. And we should just qualify here that Sauternes uses 3 grapes. Semillon, which is susceptible to botrytis because it has thin skin. Sauvignon Blanc, also pretty thinnish skin. And Muscadel. But it's primarily the Semillon that gets the botrytis. Gorgeous.
Yeah, absolutely gorgeous.
And botrytis does intensify certain flavors, and it does add certain flavors to the mix.
Yeah.
So this is, if we just did a late harvest version of these 3 grapes, it would taste different. And I think the best way for me to qualify it is that botrytis wines have a savoriness to their smell that late harvest doesn't necessarily. It can go in that direction possibly, but there is a definite on the palate you don't get a lot of that. You get a lot of sweetness, but on the nose there is a quality of savoriness.
Yeah. And I really love that we make dessert wines out of this process of botrytis, and I know, right? Isn't it beautiful?
Oh,
it's absolutely gorgeous. I mean, I want everyone who's listening or watching to think about a wine that has a slightly thicker consistency in terms of its mouthfeel, right? It has beautiful aromas of dried like apricots, honeysuckle. But because it's been aging, there's this other thing that is happening really that I love with aged Sauternes specifically is on the nose and on the palate, there is a caramel nature to it as well. So when we say dessert, we really mean truly dessert. Like you are getting dessert tones to this.
And actually, I've just realized I can qualify the savoriness. Do you know with butterscotch and golden syrup, do you know that aftermath of savoriness?
Yeah.
That's what you get.
That's what you get here too.
It's that smell.
Yeah.
Where it is like super sweet, you know that it's going to be sweet, but there is also this kind of, I don't even have language for that particular flavor, but I
know exactly what you're saying now.
It's really interesting.
But these are gorgeous, 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 gorgeous wines. And I think that everybody should do a little more with them. What I love too about them is because it's a dessert wine, it is liquid dessert. So there's often a misunderstanding I've gotten with people who do start to venture into this area of the wine world is they try to pair desserts with dessert wine. And that's...
So, let's talk about that.
That's not exactly something I would recommend when people are like, I want to pair cupcakes, I want to pair cheesecake, I want to pair... Like, it's not that it won't work, but you could...
Like, look, people do.
Yeah.
This is a really common thing. But with dessert wines, you can go either way. And my preference is always to do salty.
Yes. Well, because when you take this thing that is already very sweet and you pair it with something else that's also very sweet, right? We end up in this situation where you may be okay with loads of sweetness, but thinking about the other people in the room, they may not be okay with sweet on sweet. You know, like if you think about anyone who's ever said, I like cake, but I like cake that has, minimal frosting to it, right?
Yeah. Bless you.
Thank you.
I think
it's that kind of scenario where it's like they're telling you they like sweets, but they're telling you they don't like something that has like sweet on sweet, where it's like so much, right? Like those thick frosting layers on cake that are just so sugary sweet, where it's like you can only have the tiniest piece because it's just overwhelming.
Yeah.
You know, that's what you might be doing when you pair a dessert wine with a proper dessert, right?
So I went to Grill 23. They are very famous for their coconut cake, and their pairing is a Sauterne. And we did it. It was too much. It's like gorgeous cake.
Yeah.
But the thing that it needs, if it's going to be sweet on sweet for me, it needs a ton of acid.
Yeah.
The cake needs to be pineapple cake or like lemon or just something that cuts through.
Something, yeah, exactly.
And the coconut cake, although it was magnificent, like don't get me wrong, incredible, both Sauterne and coconut cake, but together it was just layers of sweetness.
It's too
with
much.
Nothing to cut through.
Yeah.
So, and some people would love that. But for me, I need either acid or I need salt.
Yeah.
Something to balance the sweetness. And a very common pairing for Sauterne is blue cheese.
That makes a lot of sense.
With salt and acid.
Yeah.
Lots of lactic acid, lots of salt.
Lots of savoriness.
And lots of really briny, kind of all bordering on bitter and funky, which pairs fantastically.
Yeah. Truly.
Port, it's a really common port pairing as well.
Port as well,
Port and blue cheese.
I also just, that's another thing I like about dessert wines too, is that you take, this botrytis, process, right? Where you allow for this botrytis, the noble rot, the mold, right? It's mold, and it attacks the grape and shrivels it up and gives you tiny bits of juice that are so intensely concentrated in flavor and aroma. And this is what we do with wine. And what's funny to me is that we do the same thing with cheese. We let mold come into the process, with pasteurized or non-pasteurized cheeses, different styles, right? And actually turn it into what it is. And we've done that with wine as well. And I love how the two worlds that we often pair together actually have this similarity of, hey, there's a technique we use to make something happen here with mold.
And of course, whoever discovered that hilarious. I mean,
Right.
probably took a few hundred years to actually figure out what was going on, but
Now,
we benefit.
I was a little preoccupied while I was opening this bottle with forgetting to bring
was complicated.
my Durant and actually, deal with the cork as it should have been dealt with. Did you mention Tokai when you were talking about?
I haven't brought up Tokai.
So Tokai, a lot of people may know that. Those who don't, so Sauternes comes from Bordeaux, France. Tokai comes from Hungary. This is another famous botrytis made. I always
It's really
butcher this.
newer.
Botrytized.
Botrytized.
Another famous botrytized wine, dessert wine, is Tokai. And Tokai has different levels of sweetness, which is really cool. The cool thing also with Tokai is that it is widely considered the oldest of the Noble Rock grapes.
It's the oldest classified governmental wine region in the world.
Created in the earliest documentation of it was in the 1630s. And what's really cool with Tokai is they do have a sweetness level that doesn't exist within these other areas. So Sauternes is what it is. Vinsanto from Tuscany, another
famous.
actually not botrytized, no, but another
That
famous
is dessert, but it's not botrytized.
We'll get to how that works in a second. Also doesn't have a sweetness level delineation, but Tokai does.
Tokai does.
And it's petunias. And they have 3 petunias, they have 5 petunias, they have 7 petunias, I think.
The ones that you see most these days are 5 and 6.
Or 5 and 6.
Yeah.
Not 7. Yes.
There might have been a 7. I don't think they go to 7 anymore. And that it used to be the level of the amount of barrels of the fruit. Oh, I'm forgetting my.
Yeah, I'm forgetting
my
what
history.
what the actual meaning behind was originally.
A specific delineation, and now they've kind of chilled that out and just go by sugar weight, essentially, must weight. But the one you hinted at the beginning of the episode, the extra syrupy.
Essentia.
Essentia.
Tokai Essentia.
Have you ever seen one?
I have seen one.
Okay. I've still never seen one.
I've seen one. I have actually sold one at one of my previous wine shops. I have not just seen it. I've held the box and I sold it. It is fascinating. I want to try it. I still have not.
I'm desperate to try
One, for everyone's knowledge on how this top tier of sweet dessert wine works from the Tokai dessert wines. Essentia is literally like syrup. Like, I want you to think actual like maple syrup consistency. That is what it is. You do not drink it in a glass. It comes with a crystal spoon that you pour it into and you just take a lick of the spoon.
You can't have much of it.
It's
the takeaway from this. It's so sweet.
And they are very expensive wines.
So expensive.
Very expensive.
But that's because they literally take years to make. They take years to ferment because the sugar is so high that it will kill yeast, and they just have to wait for it to kick back in with native yeast. So they are literally leaving it for years on end for it to reach the alcohol level that is good enough for it to not just be a syrup bomb. And we're talking like, what, 5% or something? It doesn't get high.
No, it is low. It's very low.
Get high. But it is the best of the best grapes, specifically from certain regions, certain vineyards. And then they leave them for so long.
Right.
It's at the very end of the possibility of the good parts of botrytis.
Yes. Yes.
Incredible stuff.
Absolutely incredible. And the other thing to note with Essentia, if you ever come across it, you ever want to purchase a bottle, you want to spend that kind of money, one, it's worth it. Two, it's not 30 days for that one. We're not talking about 30 days in the fridge. No. That will last you like 6 months. And I'm still probably not giving it its full due, but because it is so syrupy and there's so little alcohol, it really starts falling more in line with, a bottle of syrup in your cupboard. I wouldn't put it in a cupboard. You still want to chill it, keep it chilled, right? But that is something you don't have to worry about trying to run through. You can take your time with little spoonfuls here and there.
Drink it by the spoon.
Yep. But those are really cool. So the other kinds of dessert wines I think that we should also mention, another famous one that we should talk about is ice wine or ice wine. Those are fun.
So, this is a very unique category that essentially relies on an early freezing of the grape. So we're not talking about botrytis. We're talking about an incredibly pure and varietally pure version of a grape. And often it's most commonly it's single grape. I'm sure a blend exists out there. But the point of it, the point that we've realized is beneficial about ice wine is that it really shows and highlights the qualities of the grape very specifically. So they leave it on the vine, and if the freeze comes at the right time, it will dehydrate the grapes that way. So instead of something piercing the skin, it will just dehydrate naturally by being frozen. And then they make the wine from there. But often it's Sauvignon Blanc, the very common one in the Northern Americas is Vidal.
Yep.
Canada and America both create ice wine from Vidal. Ice wine, unfortunately, is suffering more and more due to climate change.
Yep.
Germany was its home, really.
Germany and Austria.
But most places are not getting freezers early enough these days.
Yeah.
To successfully produce it, and the grapes are rotting instead of freezing. So it's a bit sad, and it's becoming less and less available. But if you do find it, absolutely give it a try because it is gorgeous.
Yes. And the other
truly
thing,
pure.
I don't know if you mentioned, but in Germany and Austria, they use Riesling mostly for their ice wine. The other thing to note with ice wine, especially from Germany and Austria, one is when we say freezing, it's usually between 19 degrees and 18 degrees Fahrenheit is really where they like to pick it at. That's usually when we say freezing, we don't mean just below 32 degrees Fahrenheit. We're talking we need to get down there. Yeah. We need to get below 20. And that's why this is so hard now, is because getting below 20 is not a typical thing anymore. In some of these regions, 20
before the grapes actually
right. The other thing is in places like Germany, like in the Mosel, it's actually a little dangerous when they do go to harvest the grapes.
Yeah.
Because these are vineyards that are steep hills rolling all the way down to the river. And they are slate vineyards. So it is very easy to slip in dark conditions in the middle of the night when it's freezing cold on soil that very easily can shift.
Yeah.
And people have gotten injured. People have died. Not a high number, but it has happened where somebody starts to take a fall because the ground shifted beneath them in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
And they just kept going down the hill and they do not have a way to stop. And they don't, no one can see them well.
And these days there's a lot of systems to connect yourself to wires so that you can't fall very far, but it's still dangerous.
It's still dangerous. Yeah. It's still dangerous out there. But
how could I forget Riesling?
Beautiful wine. I don't know.
My brain I'm very tired.
Gorgeous wines. However, the other wine that we mentioned was Vinsanto from Tuscany, another dessert wine. I love those wines because they tend to be a bit more nutty in nature.
Yeah.
And less of the caramelly, sweet or honeysuckle sweet kind of tones.
Definitely no honeysuckle. It's far more. I mean, they get made from red grapes as well, right?
They get made from red grapes
Yeah.
too. The way that they do it is it's called the pasito method,
Passamento.
Passamento method. So, and basically what that means is they're going to take the grapes at peak ripeness, lay them out on straw mats, hung from wooden rafters, and placed in temperature or humidity controlled drying rooms.
Yeah.
And over the course of 2 to 4 months, the grapes will lose anywhere from 30 to 50% of their water inside the grape. And they basically shrivel to become raisins. And then they make the dessert wine.
Well, this is also the method that's used in Valpolicella
Yes.
for technically both Ripasso and Amarone, but specifically Amarone.
And this process is actually, so the appassamento process, which is the name it's given in Italy, is also used in a couple of other wines. It's used in Vin de Pays in Jura, France, and in Commandaria in Cyprus.
Ooh, yeah.
Talk about dessert wines that are not easy to get your hands on. Both of those two, from Jura and from Cyprus, are actually not commonly available in the US.
And there's one that has actually become relatively famous in America, which I've had a couple of vintages of now and blows my mind every time. Ben Rai, have you had this?
I have
fellow?
not.
It's off an island off of an island. So it's a tiny island off of Sicily.
Interesting.
And it's so Ben Rai is the actual the winery, but it's made by Donna Fugata. So
okay.
Yeah, and that was something I'd never tasted before. I think it's a passamento, but the flavors that I was getting were insane.
I need to try this.
Turmeric and
interesting,
really wild herbs and spices, and it had a ton of savory qualities and like crystallized mango skin. It was just unbelievable. Both vintages were gorgeous. That's I think also a passamento, but don't quote me on that. I did not look that up. I just realized that is one worth mentioning. But yeah, so many fun things out there. So many methods of making.
Yeah. I mean, fortified wines, technically we could say they are dessert wines as well, but they really, I always have felt they fall into the fortified wine category. You do have wines like port, which are sweeter, just all the way through. All the ports are sweet. But then you have fortified wines like Madeira and like sherry, right?
Sherry,
where it's
Madeira.
Like there is a sweet version of it, but it's like there's one version that's truly sweet, and then there's a lot of dry or off dry versions.
And they are usually fortified by either a grape spirit or another kind of spirit.
Exactly.
So they literally stop the fermentation with the addition of alcohol. And these are not. Dessert wines are not.
No.
They are fermented until the sugars stop you.
Exactly. The last one that we should actually touch on, of course, is late harvest, which I think we have talked about a little here.
We mentioned, but we didn't delve into it. So again, very commonly done in Germany and Austria, but not using botrytis, usually picked sometime in autumn. And it's just a feature of them being on the vine for long enough to develop these really interesting flavor profiles. And when we say interesting, we mean like apricot, like dried apricot, honey, all these things. Kind of rich pineapple, very fun flavors. Riesling, again, very commonly used for late harvest. A very different example to something like ice wine, because ice wine kind of stops the development and it's quite crystalline and quite clear.
Right.
But late harvest is just kind of naturally dehydrated because it's been on the vine for long enough to lose some of its water content, and really beautiful in their own way, but quite developed, like the end of the development stages of the fruit. So instead of citrus, we're getting like tropical stone and tropical fruit. But really beautiful. I love late harvest Riesling so much.
Yeah. And of course, a couple examples. We already touched on Germany, Spätlese or Auslese.
Spät, Auslese.
There's also
TBA.
in France, there's Alsace Vendange Tardive.
Yes.
So another example of it. And of course, we talked about Riesling, but Sauvignon Blanc outside of Europe, Sauvignon Blanc is actually another grape that you will find used in late harvest bottlings as well.
Which is funny. We should just mention that actually Riesling is a much more logical choice because it develops high sugar levels, but doesn't lose its acid. Sauvignon Blanc doesn't develop those kinds of sugar levels.
No. And I have seen late harvest Sauvignon Blancs before.
Yeah.
I've also seen late harvest Chenin Blancs as well.
Yes. So Chenin is very much used all across South Africa and the Loire.
Right.
And probably elsewhere. Like Australia probably does it as well, but I just haven't heard that. But late harvest Chenins are pretty fun.
Those are really fun.
Yeah. I really like them. We had one.
We did.
We had
and it was delicious.
Coteau de Léon.
Coteau de I woke up in the middle of the night last night and I couldn't go back to sleep for like an hour, so I think my brain is just fried right now.
Yeah,
Coteau
me too.
Coteau de
Léon.
Du Léon. Coteau du Léon.
Yeah.
Coteau du Léon.
Coteau du Léon.
Coteau du Léon.
Clearly, we're both sleep deprived.
Oh, my French today is not great.
From Saint-Aubin. Yeah,
Yes.
It was incredible.
Yeah.
Very different flavor profiles to Riesling and Sauvignon Blanc. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we've
covered the gambit here.
covered the gambit.
But, I just want to end on this note for everybody that absolutely give these a try. Go get yourself a bottle. The fun thing is if you're watching this, and now if you're listening, you're going to know this as well. This bottle of Sauternes obviously is a 750 milliliter bottle. That is not the common standard here. Most of your dessert wines are going to be in half bottles, 375 milliliter bottles. There's a reason for that. But if you do happen upon a full-size bottle, like a 750 milliliter bottle, those are great for aging. Not that the little ones aren't, but those are really great for extended aging.
Yeah. As you can tell by the color of this wine.
Right? And the crystallization that's at the bottom of it, right? All that. That's really cool too. So get yourself a bottle. Give it a try. These wines are absolutely fantastic. But also remember, you want no more than 3 ounces. You want half a glass.
Get yourself a salty cheese.
Yes.
Or a stinky cheese.
Yeah.
Some kind of interesting cheese.
And enjoy it with that. Like really, truly enjoy it with that. So
on that note.
Cheers.